Sam, welcome back again. This is going to be your fourth time on my podcast, which is amazing because I rarely ever have any repeat people coming on, but I just love spending my time with you. I think
I'm very
a fun
honored.
person.
Thank you. Hello to all your viewers. And Amanda, it's a pleasure to hang out with you. This is the first time face to face. Like we did audio before, right?
Right. All three previous episodes were just straight audio. I was still
and we still get along with each other, even face to face.
Right. I am not completely repulsed. A few months ago, I was following along on your Instagram page and I started seeing familiar language in writing, which was a foreign language. But it happens to be where I was born. So I was born in Germany. You got to go to Germany with your dad. What was this trip all about? Why'd you go? What'd you guys do?
It was the ultimate father and son trip of a lifetime. And I lived in Germany for about 18 months, 2006, 7, 8, roughly, and learned German. I was living in Karlsruhe. And I said, I've got to take my old man there. He's 79. I know that he loves the same German beer as me. We both love bullet trains. And I thought, well, if I don't do it now, maybe I don't get the chance later on. You know what I'm saying?
He's 79. Yeah.
So, and he's still fit and able to get around. And I was like, book the flights. Let's go. We're doing it. So we went for 2 weeks just recently in September, and absolutely awesome.
Wirtschaft und gleich links anschließend der neue Marstall. Er diente zu...
Guten Tag, ich bin der Sam, das ist mein Vater John. Smile that.
Guten Tag.
So, hinter mich ist der Weinprinzessin Marie the First.
We probably planned about, let's say, 30%, of the stuff, like accommodation, one museum, a couple of things, not much. And the rest was just spontaneous. Oh. And the most awesome stuff happened. I got my dad on the dance floor at a street electro party in Frankfurt. And we'd been hanging out in Frankfurt for like the whole day, having a few beers. And then it's like 10 p.m. We're like, come on, let's go back to the hotel. We're done. And as we're walking back to the hotel, I hear this like thumping bass line. We come around the corner and there's hundreds of people and there's this pumping street party and really funky electro house playing. And I'm like, old man, we are going to get as close to the DJ as we can.
Johnny, look in the band.
It was just like, check, got my old man on the dance floor at 79. And, that's just priceless. Loved it.
Oh my gosh. And that was outside of Frankfurt, you said? How far did you get?
It was right near Frankfurt main train station.
Wow.
Yeah.
How far did you guys get to explore?
Well, we stayed in Frankfurt a couple of nights. Then we went to Karlsruhe to meet some family friends. Then we went down to Munich for about 4 nights, and then up to Berlin for about 3, and then back to Frankfurt for 1.
Oh my goodness.
Big triangle. a big Bermuda Triangle in Germany.
Oh, and there's so many misconceptions that Americans in general have about Germany. We still think of Germany as being this war-torn country, and it's just not. Those are just where the history books stopped showing images of Germany here in the U.S. is World War II. They have really thrived since then.
Oh yeah, they make the best cars. They're leaders in philosophy, physics. They've got great food, great cultural things, and honestly, the Germans that I've met are some of the funniest, most hospitable people. They have a great sense of humor, and I love them very much. So That's my experience. And yeah, of course, initially you talk to a German and you have this impression of they're a bit cold and guarded, and that's true. But I think once you get past that, they're incredibly lovable people, and they do know how to relax and have a great time. And I was actually thinking how the landscape of Germany is quite flat. Like there's a few hills, but it's generally flat and it's landlocked, and how that influenced the consciousness, and the language is very precise. And as a result, they're very efficient people and formal. And so that might come across when you meet them as they're a bit formal and cold. It's like, no, there's all these influences that just make it seem that way, but there's much more to them, like any culture. Like when I was going to America and lived in LA for 6 years, people were like, what do you want to go to America for? They're crazy over there,
Yes,
and
we are.
yes, some of them are crazy as hell, but at least 5% of them are great people. No.
I'm so sad I didn't get to meet you when you were living in LA. I mean, I
Well,
lived there on and off for 14 years.
you're in Denver still?
Yes. Yep. Have you always lived in Australia?
I lived in Germany, and I lived in California and Australia. That's it. So originally born in Perth, Western Australia, which is the most isolated capital city in the world.
Oh, wow.
And there's about 1.5 million people in the capital. And in the state, maybe 2. And the state of Western Australia is about a third of the size of America. One state. So we have 7 states, or we have 5 states and a few, 2 territories, right? Australian Capital Territory, that's where Canberra is. That's the equivalent of Washington, and the Northern Territory. And yeah, it's a big state.
Goodness.
It's mostly desert and mining operations.
Yeah, every now and then I'll do this research on some country, and I wanted to know more about them or their culture, their history. And I think about the size of this country that I'm researching, like Venezuela. And I think to myself, wow, their president is basically what we have here as governors, because their country is so small. It's about the same size as one of our states. But now here I am having to rethink all of that, because Australia is so big, it dwarfs the US.
Well, US, if you include Alaska, is bigger, right?
Right. But most
Plus
of us
you have-
don't include Alaska.
Most of us don't include Tasmania.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, when Australians draw the map of Australia, we often have to remind each other to draw the little triangle at the bottom, which is the island of Tasmania. But yeah, I mean, you guys have got like 10 times the population of Australia.
Oh my gosh.
10 times. So
Ugh.
California's got 40 million in the state.
Yeah.
The entire population of Australia is 26 or 27 million.
Oh my gosh.
Most on that bottom southeast corner. And
where the weather's nicer.
not a lot of people in the middle.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of desolate wasteland out there in the middle of nowhere.
It's very flat.
Yeah. And
We
hot.
we have a place in the middle of Australia called Nullarbor. It's the indigenous name for a place with no trees. And there is not a place, there's no trees. Like you can be driving for hours and hours, and then way in the distance, like there's a tree. Like one tree, and it's literally a flat desert. It's got like little shrubs, but it's flat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite childhood memory?
I had an imaginary space friend who was an extraterrestrial who came down from outer space, landed in my backyard in a cardboard box, and the alien's name was Poo's Noise. Weird name. And
Definitely unusual.
my friend, who her name is Claire, at the time we caught up years later. At the time we were like 4 or 5, right? We went to kindergarten together. Years later, she reminded me, oh, you had this imaginary friend. I'm like, oh yeah, like, it just came back. And I think that from an early age, I had a fascination for outer space. And, I'm a big sci-fi geek. Like I've got over here a vintage copy of Space Odyssey 2001, the movie poster, which came out in 1968, like the Stanley Kubrick film, which was based on the book by Arthur C. Clarke. The book is incredible. The movie's incredible. But outer space is, like, for me, just fascinating. And so I think earliest childhood memory, you know, loving space. I also, my mother gave me a book when I was a kid. It was one of those books which came with an audio cassette, and the main character was a boy, and he would read the story, and it was about this boy who moved with his family from Earth to Mars, like way in the future. I was like, cool, you know, this boy's like, okay, I'm saying goodbye to my friends. I'm going to the moon station, and then we're going to Mars. We're starting this whole new life, and really cool sound effects, right? And I think that book really, you know, it lit up some sort of inspiration in me to I guess, you know, ponder space and go, wow, and I love astrophysics. I'm a big Neil deGrasse Tyson fan. And, you know, I'm not much of a scientist. Like, I don't get physics too much, but astrophysics, like the sheer size of outer space, is just like, oh. So, and anything to do with, like, you know, stories about the future where there's a science angle to it, it's like, cool, man. Like that could be. And I mean, look at life right now. We got so much cool technological breakthroughs happening. It's like, it's no longer science fiction.
Right.
Like they say, science fact.
And so much of our daily lives are inundated by things that were inspired by science fiction.
Pretty much. I'm reading this Arthur C. Clarke novel right now called The Foundations of Paradise, and it's about a space elevator that they build in Sri Lanka. And there's a mountain in Sri Lanka, and they say the tower needs to be there. And what they do is they have a space station above the Earth, and they drop a cable down 40,000 kilometers to the Earth to latch onto the Earth, and then they have a cable. And then they build a space elevator based on that. It's just a cool idea, right?
Wow.
So that might be a way to save on rocket fuel.
Yeah, it could be.
It's actually a really good idea, you know?
Wow.
Have an elevator, then you get tourists up there safer.
Yeah.
So, and that was
Elon
written,
out of work job.
Well, he might build it.
Yeah. I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
So you never thought about becoming an astronaut?
Oh, yes, I did. When I was 12, at the end of elementary, you get to write in the yearbook, you know, like 50 words, 100 words about what you want to be. And one was a professional football player, Australian rules football player, which that didn't last or didn't happen. And the other one was a space explorer.
Wow.
And travel the universe. Verbatim, I said, and I want to travel the universe and be a space explorer. I didn't say astronaut. Now, if I fast forward to now, I go, well, if I look at my life and the theme, I have explored, let's say, space in here. Not meaning I'm empty-headed, but like sometimes I am.
It's but not like, as vast and empty up there.
But the mind, that space, I've spent, you know, I did a philosophy degree because I didn't know what job I wanted. And I thought, well, I want to know what people have thought all throughout history about life, and not just Western, but Eastern philosophy, and different religions, and different science fields. But the art of philosophy, which is really to know who you are and to know the purpose of life, that was really appealing to me in my 20s. So I went and did the philosophy degree. And that, I feel, is an exploration of the universe. So I became what I wrote down. I want to explore the universe.
Wow. You actually achieved your childhood goals and dreams.
I'm living it. I've just had to interpret it differently.
Wow. What's your favorite part of what you're doing now?
I get to help people overcome emotional baggage that has been hanging on for years, using the DeMartini method, which is the cutting edge personal transformation tool on the planet right now. Absolutely certain of that. And I would say that I get to connect with people all around the world, and in less than 90 minutes, they can have a significant breakthrough to find a new profound awareness of themselves, peace, gratitude, whether that's for someone else that they've been resenting, or some part of themselves that they've been resenting, or they're ashamed of, or they're guilty of, and have been hanging on to for so long that it's, it's controlling their life. I help people, where if emotions are controlling your life, I help you turn that around so that you control your life and master your emotions. And that's because I learned the DeMartini method from Dr. John DeMartini, who's from Texas.
Oh, I didn't
But he
even
travels
realize
the
that.
world and teaches now, and he's one of my mentors, my main mentor.
Imposter syndrome is self-doubt despite evidence of competence, your achievements, your success. It's also accompanied with a fear of being exposed as an intellectual fraud. Imposter syndrome is also believing that one has fooled your colleagues, they have overestimated your abilities. And it's also attributing personal success to other factors, such as luck, or that someone else made a mistake and gave you the job.
That was pretty cool. How long you been working with him?
Well, I did his breakthrough experience in LA 2019. And then I did his DeMartini method facilitation training 18 months ago. And since then, I've done about 185 hours of client facing time. And I tell you what, people come to you with stuff and they say, good luck trying to unravel and untangle this. And I say, okay, that's what most people say when they come to me. But the DeMartini method is a repeatable set of questions and thought exercises that completely changes the way you see a specific thing about your past, or a specific thing about about you or someone else. And it's a beautiful combination of psychology, philosophy, lots of other fields. And it's about loving yourself in a really authentic way. And I get to do that. So I'm grateful that I've learned this method.
Pretty cool. And what were you doing before 2019, before you started getting into this?
I was a high school teacher in Hollywood.
Oh my goodness, that could not have been easy.
I was in East Hollywood at a high school, and I was teaching 99% Central American students who were fresh off the boat over the border, some of them illegally. And I was working for Los Angeles Unified School District during the day, teaching teenagers English. And we had a ball, right? It was a blast.
Wow.
Good kids. And in the evening, I was teaching predominantly Mexican adults to get their high school diploma. That was
how
rewarding,
cool.
because
Yeah.
they all wanted to be there. They knew why they were there. And shout out to all my Mexican friends in LA, beautiful people. They know how to party, and they're just lovely people. And, they got such good hearts. They want good stuff for their family. And my job was to help them pass a test, the GED, also the high set, and get a better job. So everybody knew why they were there. And I was like, let's pass that test. And I ended up teaching American history to Americans. Go figure, right? Go figure. So, 20th century stuff, which was cool for me because I didn't know it before moving to LA in 2016. So it's like,
Wow.
all right. And I would just say in front of the class, all right, people, you do realize I'm from Australia. Australians don't learn that much American history growing up. We learn Australian, we learn English, and then we can choose an elective. I chose Russian history. That was cool.
Wow.
Like, you could choose Chinese, you could choose Russian, Indonesian, a couple others, but American history is not like the most obvious choice in Australia in schools, at least when I was growing up. So it was cool. I get to learn about the things that shaped your country. And it's like, Very cool. I mean, this is the textbook history.
Right.
Let's be clear, like that's a very sort of narrow interpretation of what happened. So we had conversations like, look, here's what the test wants you to do and to know. However, let's look at some of the things that are not in the test. Like they don't talk about the fact that the entire west coast of America was Mexico.
Right.
At some point, all of that was Mexico, and then you guys had a war with them. They don't talk about how the whole middle of America was French territory up
The
to a certain
Louisiana
point.
Purchase. Yeah.
And for me, that was fascinating. Like, because I'm an outsider, it's like I'm a bit like Switzerland. I can look at it and appreciate it and go, that's kind of what happened. But, you know, the test is the test. So
Right.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. But it was really rewarding. And I just, living in LA was for me a networking smorgasbord. I just went and networked at chambers of commerce, BNI groups, Rotary, Kiwanis, any networking events I could go to, and I just met people. Just, hi, I'm Sam. I'm from Australia. Don't know what I'm really doing, but I have some ambition, maybe a little bit of talent.
You've always been an extrovert, though, haven't you? Since childhood?
No.
Really?
I'm equally an introvert. I love my
Oh.
own quiet time, and I'm very, I would say, spiritual person. Like I love to ponder the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I need a bit of quiet time, so to speak. And I love it. I can go off camping for a weekend and just chill out. Don't need anyone. But then you put me in a room with 100 people, by the end of the night, I'll know as many of them by name and have set up meetings and connections and stuff. Or I would have organized it, which is what I'm doing in my new job now. I'm organizing events, which is really cool.
What is your
Yeah.
new job now? When did
So I have
you start?
6 months ago, an education coordinator for a professional industry body. In Australia, it's called strata managers. In America, I think it's condominium managers. Is it condo? Like people who manage condos for the people who live there.
Right, right. We actually have one of those here where I live. My husband and I, we live in a condo, and we have an HOA that kind of oversees the whole thing, homeowners association.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the equivalent here in Australia, and my job is to coordinate webinars, the conference, the awards night. I actually emceed for the awards night just recently in October, and had a ball. Excuse me. So now I'm pitching myself to other associations as an MC.
Well, it's a good thing you've got a little bit of stage practice.
Yeah.
So what made you want to be a high school teacher or adult education teacher back in the day?
I was inspired by my university professor. I signed up for an acting class.
Oh.
Excuse me. And his first class, I was like, I want to do that. And this is like second or third year of university. I'm like, what do I want to do? I'll pick some acting classes. Mind you, I'd done some acting stuff in the past, and that was fun, but I never really thought pursue it in any way, not in a teaching format.
Right.
And so I did. I was like, I want to do interactive workshops and teach people to express themselves. And that's kind of been a running theme in my life. I mean, if I look at the DeMartini method, and what that helps people do is express themselves authentically.
Right.
So it's the same. I've just transformed, from teaching into now running events and helping others to, express who they are in a professional sense. And I'm also doing that in a coaching sense. And whenever I speak, is really to raise the energy in the room and make people feel welcomed and make people go away saying, I want to go back. That was a great gig. I think that's important to help people feel welcome and to express themselves authentically.
Do you think you've always had kind of like that special knack to be able to teach people stuff?
Maybe. I guess so.
I always have that one last question that I wrap up with, because it's my favorite always.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you love about yourself that's not related to your physical appearance?
I love that I know for certain that there is more to the world than what we can see. I'll explain that a little bit more. I know that there is a spiritual dimension to the world, and you can't necessarily see it with your physical eyes. But I have this incredible knowing in here. I'm not a religious person. I'm a philosopher. I like to ponder things and find out through my heart and also through my head. But I'm dead set sure that there is more to this world than what we see. And that is freeing and empowering.
If you've enjoyed tonight's episode, please make sure you check out the episode description. You'll find links there on how you can learn more about this guest, links to connect with them on social media, and how to support the podcast. Remember, I don't get paid to do this. My boss is a bit tight-fisted, but I can say that. I work for myself.